जानकीनाथ सहाय। सूरज मंगल सोमभृग सुत बुध और गुरु फलदायक तेरो। राहु केतु की नाही गम्यता, राहु केतु की नाही गम्यता। संग शनीचर होत कुचेरो। जानकी नाथ सहाय करे तब कौन बिगाड़ करे नर तेरो। जानकी नाथ सहाय। दुष्ट दुशासन विमल द्रौपदी, दुष्ट दुशासन विमल द्रौपदी। चीर उतार को अंतर केरो। जाके सहाय करे करुणानिधि, बढ़ गयो चीर किनार घनेरो। जानकी नाथ सहाय। जाके सहाय करे करुणानिधि, जाके सहाय करे करुणानिधि। ताके जगत में भाग्य पड़े हो, रघुवंशी संतन सुखदाई। तुलसीदास चरण को चेरो। जानकी नाथ सहाय करे तब कौन बिगाड़ करे नर तेरो।
सियावर रामचंद्र की जय। ॐ सहनाववतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यङ्करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्माविद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। गुरुर्ब्रह्मा गुरुर्विष्णुः गुरुर्देवो महेश्वरः, गुरुरेव परं ब्रह्मा तस्मै श्री गुरवे नमः, तस्मै श्री गुरवे नमः। Repeat after me. दिक्कालाद्यनवच्छिन्न अनंत चिन्मात्र मूर्तये स्वानुभूत्यैकनामाय
स्वानुभूत्यैकनामाय
नमः शान्ताय तेजसे
नमः शान्ताय तेजसे
नमः शान्ताय तेजसे. That self-illumining Parabrahma Tattva I offer my salutations unto. The salutations are being offered unto. Thus, having initiated the blessings which are sought in that very shloka, he very clearly portrays that he is not just a mere poet, but he is somebody who is a deep understanding of Vedanta Vichara and somebody who has been practicing this Vedanta Vichara to be their part of experience, culminating in the realization and wisdom. So, what are the 5 things that we said we will discuss? Dharma Vivarana. Second one, Sadhu Lakshana or the Sajjana Lakshana. Third one, Moodha Lakshana. That should be easy, right? Fourth, Vidhi, God's will or fate. And the fifth one is Purushartha. Purushartha, the self effort or free will. So now we start with Samanya Dharma or Dharma Vivarana, Dharma Lakshana. So in that, the first shloka that we will be taking in the text that I have shared with all of you, it should be on the 19th shloka. Are you all on there? Keyurani. केयूराणि न भूषयन्ति पुरुषम्
केयूराणि न भूषयन्ति पुरुषम्
हारा न चन्द्रोज्ज्वला
हारानचन्द्रोज्ज्वला
न स्नानं न विलेपनं न कुसुमम्
न स्नानं न विलेपनं कुसुमम्
नालङ्कृता मूर्धजाः
नालङ्कृता मूर्धजाः
वाण्येका समलङ्करोति पुरुषम्
वाण्येका समलङ्करोति पुरुषम्
या संस्कृता धार्यते
या संस्कृता धार्यते
क्षीयन्ते खलु भूषणानि सततम्
श्रीयन्ते खलु भूषणानि सततम्
वाग्भूषणं भूषणम्
वाग्भूषणं भूषणम्.
In the Samanya Dharma or the Dharma Vivarana, he first takes up the Vak or speech. Why? Because it is through the speech that we get all the knowledge that we have ever acquired. It's once the Vak is established, is when the whole field of Shravana and Nididhyasana, Shravana Manana Nididhyasana opens up. Reading becomes a possibility. Understanding, assimilating, and communicating becomes a possibility. And that Vak meaning speech. How should it be? There are so many Mahatmas that have touched upon this particular topic. Like Kabir Das ji, what does he say about speech? He says, ऐसी बाणी बोलिए जो मन का आपा खोए, औरन को शीतल करे, आप हूं शीतल होए. ऐसी बाणी बोलिए. Speak that kind of speech which is meaningful, worthwhile, substantial. Not otherwise we love when four of us meet. What becomes the very topic of our conversation? Idhar ki udhar ki, all kinds of gossip. But that nowhere. So something when we speak, it has to it has to be impactful, it has to be meaningful, it has to touch, and it has to be truthful. But when we are communicating truth, usually we are not ready to listen to truth. We are not ready to listen to the facts, truth as is. So we find people trying to really hard, putting a lot of effort to sugarcoat it. And in that effort of sugarcoating, the essence of what has to be communicated gets diluted, and it is completely something else that gets across. ऐसी वाणी बोलिए जो मन का आपा खोए, औरन को शीतल करे. It gives that pleasantness, confidence, and something positive to look forward. And you also feel uplifted by sharing what you are sharing. Otherwise, मौन व्याख्या प्रकटित परब्रह्म तत्वम. Stay in mauna. It's not necessary that you have to speak every single time. You can allow others to speak as well. That I had to realize very hard, a hard lesson. Because once you sit on the stage and start speaking, speaking itself becomes a kind of a habit. Pretty early, I burnt those fingers and realized that I had started speaking even when it was not necessary. So I made up my mind that a conviction: only speak when you are on the stage, when it is your responsibility to talk, and while talking, talk that which is making sense on some shastras, on some shruti. Why talking on that shruti? Others benefiting is a byproduct, but it becomes my own manana nididhyasana. So I am the first priority and I am the first beneficiary. Others also benefit, well and good. Tathastu. So when I am doing my own Shravana Manana Nididhyasana, that is when that speech can be justified. Otherwise, there is a conversation and unnecessarily pitch in and arguments. Why? Not necessary. Why is this speech that important? So he says, केयूराणि न भूषयन्ति पुरुषम हारा न चंद्रो ज्वलाहा. केयूराणि न भूषयन्ति. Different kinds of malas, jewels, necklaces, which are as brilliant as Chandra Ujjwala, shining forth. Like, when you have these pearls, they really shine as if there are a necklace of small miniature moons hanging. So Chandrojjwala, even they do not add the necessary beauty. न स्नानम न विलेपनम न कुसुमम न अलंकृता मूर्धजा. the freshness, snana, vilepana. No, vilepana in those days meant something natural like the turmeric or chandana, such things. Today, vilepana, we have to start with foundation, the base layer, and on that, different layers. So, vilepana. Or I could just interpret it saying, even in those days, there were beauticians and they had the same kind of. But in those days, it was more natural. Vilepana. Kusumam. Kusumam, the jasmine flower garlands or rose. In this country, I am yet to see a good rose. No, I shouldn't say that. I was given a sample. Most of the roses, okay, let me put it that way. Most of the roses in this country hardly have smell in it. I remember that when you're carrying those roses to the temple, the bees follow you because the smell is so attractive. But then here, hardly they're big, big size, but there is no smell to it. So kusumam, nice, beautiful flowers. Alankrita murdhajaha, different kinds of alankara starting from the head onwards. There is a keyura mukuta, then there is maybe a feather, maybe something hanging on the side, and the flowers arranging. Then there is a इसको क्या बोलते हैं? Nathani, the nose ring, then the ear rings, then the necklaces, then the bangles. Then they wear something here also. Armlet. 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 Then they wear something on the katibandha. Katibandha is not a belt, because belts are way cheaper. This is made of gold and studded with precious stones. No, head to toe alankara. Says none of them actually add true sense of beauty. Keyura, hara, snana, vilepana, kusuma, alankara, all these different kinds, they don't add true beauty. I says, what adds true beauty to a person? Vani eka samalankaroti. Vani alone, Vani, speech. Speech alone brings the true beauty of a personality. And what kind of speech? Ya Sanskrita dharyate. That speech which is soaked in Sanskritam. Not any kind of speech. Only that speech which is spoken in Samskrita Bhasha. Here, Sanskritam or Samskrita Dharyate is that speech which is expressing forth samskara. Samskara, cultured, well behaved speech. And I know we are like this only. We may sound very harsh, दिल एकदम साफ है. Whatever is in here is what is here. That is called vomit. That is not considered as straightforward. That is called vomit. Put in a filter there. Speak that which is truthful and yet in a well behaved, cultured manner. Because it is said, there is a beautiful Subhashita. In that Subhashita, it is said, Jihvagre Vasater Lakshmi. It is how you speak. Jihvagre is on the tip of your tongue, stays Lakshmi ji. Supposing you are a businessman, or you have to sell your produce from the market or from the field into the market, or you have to project yourself as a project manager or a lead or a presenter. Where does it all begin? It begins with how you speak. Jihvagre vasater Lakshmi. In fact, I read a very beautiful punny statement, pun intended statement, not a Tamil. Imagine what happens in my head that with about 8 9 languages, knowing these words meaning in 8 9 languages, it is like it goes in a chart. Every word that I'm uttering, that what does it mean in different other languages, and how hilarious that meaning would be. Funny statement. Funny in Tamil means a pig. No, you can imagine that I had to put a straight face, and inside there is like, crackers cracking up. A pun intended statement is when you are speaking, in the first 2 minutes of your speech, if you have not bored deep enough, stop drilling. Are you getting? You have to strike in that first 2 minutes. See, when the ads are made and told, what is that? Super Bowl ads. Each ad gets what? 30 seconds? 15 30 seconds. And they pay like in millions for that because the audience is a huge audience. And in those 15 to 30 seconds, if you have not caught the attention of the viewer in the first 2 seconds, your 15 seconds is wasted. And it all starts with the first word that can catch their attention. Jihvagre vasater Lakshmi. Jihvagre mitra bandhavaha. Good friends, good relationships. In the family, there will always be that one person who loves to be in touch with everyone. We'll call them up, we'll meet them up, we'll, know about them, share about. There'll be one person at least. Like when my mom visited here, prior to that, I had lived 5 6 years. Clueless. Okay? After she came, visited this country, I realized there are about 60 70 people from my family that are living all across whom I had no clue existed. Did she come with all those addresses and phone numbers? No. One person that she spoke to, and through that she just went on and on and on, connected with all these people. They call her there and speak to her. Why? Jihvagre mitra bandhavaha. The tip of your tongue, and how pleasingly you can connect with them, how meaningfully you can connect with them. It is through this speech alone that you can make those connections. All relationships can be retained, restored, well established only when our speech is on the right note. If it is not, जिह्वाग्रे रिपवः अपि सन्ति. रिपवः शत्रु. Shatru, enemies. Enemies were depending on one wrong word. When you read Chanakya Niti, you need to have a lot of stability within. While I'm reading nītiśatakaṃ, I'm also like comparing it with other Niti Bodha. And Chanakya says, you better have a meaningful speech, meaningful, artful way of talking, because that who is closest to you, and you read him, he threatens you. That who is closest to you has the highest probability of being your dreaded enemy. Why? Because the closest one knows you in and out, and you tick them off, and they become your enemy. Now he is an enemy with all your trade secrets. He gives a very vyavaharik niti, but it's a very powerful one. Jihvagre ripavaha api santi. So therefore he says in that Subhashita, keep your speech soaked in madhu. Therefore when we even chant the Medha Sukta, Jihva me madhumattama, how should the Jihva be? That it should be madhumattama. It's not just madhu. Madhuttara, madhuttama. Good, gooder, goodest. No. Good, better, best. So madhu, madhuttara, madhuttama. And not because it has to be sweet to hear and to make people gullible. That which is meaningful, that which is sensible, that which is worth their time. Speak in a beautiful way. And when we don't have that control, it can lead to many kind of unforeseen errors in our life. So therefore, here our Bhartṛharikṛta is starting. He's saying, Vani eka samalankaroti purusham. That is the true abhushana of an individual. Now let us look at the comparison. The speech versus the other things that he has said. Now the Keyura, Kankana, all these kinds of ornaments, Hara, pearls and jewels and other things. Maintenance problem. You all have. You can just blink your eyes. You don't have to say. Right? Where is it? It's not just in the bank, it is in the locker. Okay? Why? Maintenance problem. You have it in the house, there is a problem of it being lost. Not just that. Second maintenance problem. You keep wearing the same design again and again. It doesn't have freshness to it. You have to take it and get it redone. New design. ऐसा मैंने सुना है. This is the freshest new design in the market. You hear the Indian radio channel. They have advertisements catering only for that mindset. Your design has become old. Don't worry. We will have it delivered to you in 3 days sharp. Any design. अच्छा, ऐसा भी होता है. There's a pointer for me to understand. Right? Maintenance problem. Again, maintenance. It has to be maintained. You cannot just keep it lying somewhere. You have to. There are like silver and other things. You have to constantly keep washing, shining. India में होता था. It was only later that we got brasso or whatever pitambari or whatever those things. When I was studying in the ashram during the Vedanta course, Brahmachari training course, those lamps were of my height, of this size, width, the what do you call the diameter. I was not getting that word, so I was going to say double the radius. So the diameter is this long, this wide.
व्यासी बोलो, आपको व्यास पीठ पे याद है।
It's, and then you have to roll that. You cannot lift it. It's heavy. So you have to roll it, open all the parts, and then tamarind. That which was already used in the kitchen, squeezed out. Whatever is left, that was given to us. And there you sit with it and keep scrubbing and scrubbing and scrubbing. And then the soap one round. And then, because with the soap, it has to remove all the oil. Then you use the tamarind for getting that shine on it. Then you dry it and then use vibhuti, the bhasma. And then take a soft cloth and you polish it further. Inside and outside. Whenever we used to get that temple duty, we were scared. Why? Like that, they have about 8 big lamps. You think that was difficult? No. There are 8 hanging lamps which have 8 or 8 wicks, and all the soot in that chain, and you have to sit and clean that internal chain. That's even more difficult. Maintenance problem. All these abharana, abhushana, maintenance problem. I've given you different kinds of maintenance. Whereas speech, you don't have to carry it. You don't have to store it. You don't have to safeguard it to be stolen, or all that you have to do is consciously use it. Snana, it's a recurring process. You yourself wouldn't want to live with yourself. That is also a recurring, repeatable process. But once you set the speech in the right direction, and when it is endowed with samskrita, samskara yukta, see, for those people who have spoken truth, they don't have to expend a lot of energy. Those who have the habit of speaking falsehood, now you will have to remember, who did I speak to, what false? And now that you have to remember, you have to constantly keep yourself vigilant and watchful. Otherwise, this side's that truth and that side's this truth, and you keep mixing it up, you will end up in a bigger problem. But truth, once you set it on that track, that speech, the truthful speech, when you set it on track, then you don't have to even look back about it. There is not much of effort in the recurring aspect like snana. Vilepanam. Now, vilepanam is different kinds of fragrances. Now, speech in itself, when you consciously do it so that whatever you are speaking even if it is to admonish someone or to talk to them about their own flaws, when you are saying it with the true intent and with the right compassionate words, that fragrance not only uplifts you but also helps uplift the other person. When you put fragrance, who benefits? You benefit. Some part of my life I have spent in Hyderabad. On Saturdays or Sundays, I used to go all the way to downtown, not downtown, Old Town. That is where there is this famous building called, or a famous landmark called Char Minar. It's in the old city. Nahi baba, this is the building on which that brand came up later. So there was a market. I used to go to that market to get vegetables from that mandi. Going was an easy task. Coming back with all those 4 or 5 bags of weight. Now, along with that weight, now the population also. Early morning, there is no population. There is no public. But while coming back, there is a lot of public. Now, you can smell all kinds of things. Many would not have taken a shower. Kaiko jumme ke jumme. I wouldn't explain much further. Friday to Friday is their principle. There was one of my friends, he would say, क्या मियाँ तुम रोज रोज नहाते, हम तो जुम्मे के जुम्मे नहाते. You know what, you take shower daily, we take Jumma to Jumma, Friday to Friday. On that, there is Itra. Itra, it is the local fragrance. Very strong. Mixture, even more bhayankara. On the top of it, mouthful of, you don't want to be anywhere close to them while they are speaking, laughing, or sneezing. Because mouth is full of all these smells mixed together. Smell this for yourself. It may not be liked by others, but the fragrance of speech is such that it definitely uplifts you and it gives an opportunity to uplift others as well, provided it is samskrita. It is based on the samskara yukta shabda. Alankrita murdhaja. Different kinds of these alankaras have their constant maintenance issues or recurrence issues, whereas speech is something that has to be samskrita, and all other ornamentation or beautification processes kshiyante khalu bhushanani. All these abhushana or alankara kshiyante, they get changed, destroyed, morphed. Constant maintenance therefore is required. But the vak bhushanam, the speech as the bhushana, alankara, is the best bhushana. That's why Bhagavan also says, how should our speech be? Anudvegakaram vakyam satyam priya hitam chayat. Where does he say it? In Bhagavad Gita. Anudvegakaram vakyam satyam priyam hitam chayat. And in Adi Shankaracharya's Bhashya, he says it very clearly. It is not one of the above. All the 4 pointers are equally important. First, Anudvegakaram vakyam. Udvegakaram vakyam. It is so easy to fan negative emotions through speech. Wrong emotions, fearful emotions, disgustful emotions, envious emotions, disturbing emotions through speech is very easy. And if you are in a rally or if you are in a and there you say something and it can ignite, passions can be ignited, really, and that can lead to a mass hysterical fear. We have seen it. I don't want to go in much detail. Hint is sufficient. One word and it can create that kind of an impact. Knowing that, people plan to use words just so that that person I know will get irritated with these words. Therefore, I'm using it in a planned way. What to tell about that? That is called Udvegakaram Vakyam. Vegakara is speed, fast. Udvega, in a rapidity, it brings out all the heat. It ruptures them from inside. That is called Udvegakara Vakyam. Especially in arguments. Usually started as a discussion tending towards argument. You have made your point. The other person also understood it, and you understood it, that other person also has understood it. That is the tipping point where you should have stopped. You see it, that other person has understood. No, you should have stopped. But then something from inside doesn't feel the kick. So what do? We take the final hammer into their face and smack it down. Why? Just to show them their place. I have had my last word. That is called Udvegakaram Vakyam. Pretty insightful words. Anudvegakaram Vakyam.
How should our speech be?
That which does not rupture others. There may be a problem, there may be a situation which you are trying to find a solution for. Rupturing the minds is not the way, but to find solutions for it, so that in that solution there is confidence, there is shanti that is experienced by the one who is listening. Anudvegakaram Vakyam. Because what are you trying to speak? Satyam. Now, when you are speaking Satya, you don't need to be rash, you don't need to be hurtful. Why? Because you know that you are speaking truth. Sometimes when we are speaking truth, it comes with the air of right being on my side. That is when we have to be even more careful. That when we say something, it should not lead to a sense of rupture into the one that is to listen to the truth. I have given this example earlier. While I was still studying, there was this fashion that had hit the Indian markets at that time. Some actor must have started it. Okay. Dark color clothes, tight clothes, skin tight. I cannot breathe in such clothes. They would wear tight jeans, We used to joke, right? Zyada khud mat. Don't jump too much because you're wearing it so tight that wear that. There's one of my friends comes in this, and she was short, she was dark, and she was on the healthier side. Again, she asked somebody, "Hey, how does this look?" That fellow's laid it out as is. You get some dress sense. What is that? Or something like that. And she got irritated. Whatever was in the hand, she threw it at that fellow. And she came straight to me. I knew I had no other way to run. I didn't have a sneaker or something to put. I couldn't run away. They came straight to me. They said, "How does this look? You tell me." Satyam, Priyam, Hitam, so many things to go there. So I said, "Look, that which you are wearing yesterday suits you really good. You looked awesome. That's what I'm talking about." And she went away. I'm like, Narayan. Same thing can be said in a way that it doesn't hurt others. But believe me, once you learn that skill, pretty soon you'll have to realize and keep a watch on your, because that can be a very good tool to manipulate others. Neither to manipulate them or to in sense of crooked intentions, but just for the fact that they should be protected, that when they hear, that they should not feel hurt, from only that perspective. So satyam, priyam, and that satyam has to be given in a very pleasant manner, unhurtful manner. Some people argue and say, "Oh, well, truth will hurt anyways. I'm going to lay it out as is." We need not be that blunt, curt, caustic in our approach. We can take some time and shower some compassion. Because if I am in that condition, I don't want to hear it that bluntly. I want it to be given in a compassionate manner. So don't do that unto someone which you don't want to be done to you. So, Priyam. All in all, what should be the baseline? The baseline should be that the speech that you are using, the truth that you are speaking, is meant for hitam. Hitam is not a shortened format of hit them. Hitam means that which is absolute good for that individual. With that intention alone, you are speaking what you are speaking to that individual. If it does not have truth, if it is not helpful, if it does not uplift the other individual, please do the favor to the world, zip up. It's not necessary to disturb the environment with that kind of speech. Anudvegakaram satyam priyahitam chayat. That it has to be truthful, it has to be priyam, and it has to be hitakaram. That kind of speech is true alankara abhushana. Oh, but Swamiji, I am like this only. Learn. I am like this only doesn't cut it. It's so difficult. You came into this country. You picked up the vocabulary here. You did not come with this vocabulary. Pardon me, excuse me, sorry, thank you. And these were not the words that you grew up with. I mean, these are all pleasant words that I have taken up for discussion. There are many other mudra rakshasas. Which doesn't behove of me to speak from this stage. We have picked that also up. And what amazes me is they use it with such frequency, with such a profanity, jaw drops. And they say, I'm like this only. If you can pick that up and become masters in using it, then definitely these also can be added in to bring that change. It is not that difficult. Because when we go out into the world to interact, what we leave behind is what we speak. How we speak. So I have this principle of 5 questions before we can speak. First, what to speak? A little processing required. It should not be I just felt like it, I just blurt it out. And we see that it is hurting others and still we don't mend ourselves. Pause. Process it. What to speak? What to speak includes, am I responsible in this condition, in this situation, to even utter what I should be uttering? Is it my responsibility? Should I be speaking? Best example is just recently, this Sunday, I covered this topic. Vibhishana is kicked out of Ravana's chambers. After Vibhishana keeps repeatedly begging of his brother, oh brother, please, if you think that it is against your ahankara that you don't want to surrender, at least let us give Sita ji back. But that is wrong. This doesn't do any one of us good. And he falls on his feet. He kicks him away. This is in Tulsi Ramayana, he says, Re Shatha, Murkha. And he kicks him in front of entire Sabha. In spite of that, he falls back at his feet, begs of him, Bade Bhaiya, please listen. He says, somebody kick this fellow out before I can kill him. He says. Reluctantly, he leaves. And along with him, his own set of ministers also leave with Vibhishana. They reach to the other side where Ramji with Vanar Sena is situated. The Vanaras looking at these people, they get all antsy. Coming from south, that too from the Akasha Marga, and looks like Rakshasas, wears like Rakshasas, feels and smells like Rakshasa. As soon as they land, they tie them up. In Valmiki Ramayana, they are presented in front of Rama. So before that presentation can happen, Ramji has a round table conference with Sugriva, Angada, Nala, Neela, Jambavan, Hanuman. Of all these people, who is the only one who had already seen and met Vibhishana? Hanumanji has already met. But he doesn't butt in. Bhagwan, I think I should be allowed to speak first. He stands in the line. It's only after all of them have spoken, then he turns to Hanumanji and says, Hanuman, now tell me your opinion. Thus, listening to everyone, Bhagavan then makes the decision. Of course, whatever Bhagavan says, he says that whoever has come as asking for Sharanagati, even if he is Adhamadhama, it is my job to give him another opportunity to improve. I am not going to turn anybody away if they have come seeking refuge. I will not build walls. I will welcome them if they are seeking refuge. There, Hanumanji's restraint on himself. Because he is the only one who could have said, Bhagavan, I have met this fellow, he is the one. Actually, because of his help is when I found Sita ji. Please, let me wait for his opportune time to speak. Is it my responsibility to speak? Then comes what to speak, how to speak. If you are saying it has to be simple, straightforward, meaningful, without going round and round and round. Like a jalebi. It's straightforward. How to speak? How much to speak? Then, when to speak? Pick the right opportune time wherein that message which you are trying to give gets connected to the person intended, and that hitakara which you are aiming at benefits them with that time. You see something wrong, you don't need to correct them in front of everyone. Take them aside. And as you are speaking, see, if you have the authority, if you are the lead and you hold that respect, and you know that you hold that respect in that person's heart, you can state it as is, straightforward. This was not right, please change. But if there is somebody very finicky, touchy, so apply the second technique. Pad it with 10 good pointers. At the very end, also mention, by the way, this thing, if you could just make a little change there, padded and well delivered. A third method. This is used in the Indian household with the new bahu. The sa, but bahu is new. Bahu is daughter-in-law. Bahu is new. How do you say? It's a very tricky situation. You don't want to offend, but you still want to say, and it has to be said. It is necessary, important, whatever. So what do? You come through the third person. Usually, daughter is the scapegoat to get to the daughter-in-law. You could have spoken to your daughter in the room. No. In front of the daughter-in-law, you speak to the daughter. First round. That which you expect that daughter-in-law to inculcate, you praise that quality. Still doesn't get across. Then, the next round is the opposite of that which you praised, which is what you see and which you want to correct. You directly scold that in that third person. बेवकूफ दिमाग है, ऐसा कोई करता है? The other person who is doing it like, okay, sorry, my bad. Through the third person.
The idea is that other person should get that benefit. Nītiśatakaṃ. When you have to time it well, when to speak, when to stop.
You already communicated, you already given the point, you are now rubbing their face against in the friction. Stop. Not required. So if these pointers are taken care, then that kind of speech is the most benevolent speech, most useful speech, and most hitakara will be done through that kind of speech. Otherwise, if it is not timed well, it will be like Dhritarashtra or Duryodhana. How many people spoke to them? With Dhritarashtra, Vidura spoke. Who is Vidura Dhritarashtra? A brother, right? A wise brother. Most important. He doesn't heed to that advice. He doesn't listen to that advice. Then Sanat Kumaras are brought in. It's called Sanat Sujatiyam. Sanat Kumaras speak to Dhritarashtra. Krishna himself comes. वो भेजे में घुसे तब ना. And how is Duryodhana? He listens to Vidura stating and then comments. Yes, uncle. I've heard it enough number of times. I also have studied, okay? अपने को क्या समझेला है? अंगूठा छाप? I have also studied. Janami dharmam. So Vidura's eyes brightened up and said, very good, beta. Nacha me pravritti. I don't know how to implement it. Janami adharmam. Nacha me nivritti. Why? Somebody sitting in my heart is making me do all this. If it is not timed well, that is why when they say raising children, how you tell them, what you advise them, how you tell them, becomes an important way of nurturing that child for the future, for their own sake. Don't start with a negation. Start with a positive note. But sometimes we take that positive note to such an extreme when the kid has to be corrected and still we spare. We don't take the corrective measures. And on the top of it, we load them with unnecessary increments of what do you call? Praise words, where it is not worthy of praise. They have come. I'm not saying that you have to put them down. But don't put them on a pedestal wherein it doesn't deserve. Otherwise, what is the mindset that we are creating? In the pretext of trying to create a positive environment for the kid and boost that, there's a word that they use. No, the self-esteem. And what we are creating is entitled kids. That they can never take no for an answer anymore. Never understand a corrective measure. It will be seen only as criticism. A slight word already. This is not right. Why? Nobody ever says things like that to me. well, then they have done something wrong. Like if there is a kid that comes and says, Swamiji, this is Ganesha's picture. And I'm like, where is Ganesha in there? Some resemblance should be there, right? Ears should be there, a trunk should be there, a big pot belly should be there. वो कुछ नहीं है. But the fellow has earmarked colors to those little blocks and given nice colors. So said nice coloring. The coloring is nicely done. Really? Yes, nice coloring, nice strokes. Next time, define it further so that it is closer to Ganeshji. Okay. Otherwise, oh, so cute, you're so good. कहाँ पे चढ़ा रहे हो? That fellow will only understand that is right. That fellow has to also understand that is not right, and that is something that has to be mended, that is something has to be corrected. Otherwise, we keep them floating in a wrong hemisphere, and all that we are creating is entitled idiots. They will not be able to face the harshness of the life outside. They are not going to spare them. The outside world is going to smack them with the bluntest way. Am I getting across? So this speech, so much that can be accomplished. That one word, it can inspire millions to do great. I remember Netaji Subhash Chandra. He didn't have money. He didn't have experience to lead an army. He didn't. He didn't have strategy. He didn't have support from many places where he sought support. But one slogan that he stood up and said, तुम मुझे खून दो, मैं तुम्हें आजादी दूंगा. You pledge your blood, I will make sure that you get freedom. It inspired millions. One Gandhi, I mean the original one. Today there are so many other Gandhis floating around. The original one, the only credible one. That he said, Ahimsa. It inspired millions to follow that Ahimsa. One word can make that difference. It has to be treasured when you say. Otherwise, we keep when you actually make the point, nobody is listening. Hey, this fellow keeps you're already shut off. So the speech is a most powerful thing that we can have, which has to be constantly refined so that it can make meaningfulness in my life as well as to the ones that I am interacting with. So that they feel the inspiration, they feel the purposefulness, they start seeking solutions rather than being a part of problems. Therefore, speech, he says, is truly the abhushana that has to be refined. That alone is the abhushana. The rest of it can never be called as abhushana because they lack that refinement in them. So that is the first samanya dharma or dharma vivarana. He starts with speech. Continuing, we flip back, go back to 16th shloka. We'll be going all over the place. That's why when I sent it to you, I gave the shloka numbers. They have shloka numbers, right? 16th one. Harturyati nagocharam kimapisham. That one. Harturyati nagocharam kimapisham.
Bhartṛharikṛta gocharam kimapisham.
Pushnati yat sarvada.
Pushnati yat sarvada.
Apyarthibhyah pratipadyamanam abhyar
Pratipadyamanam.
anisham
Anisham.
prapnoti vruddhim param
Prapnoti vriddhim param.
kalpanteshvapi na prayati nidhanam
Kalpanteshvapi na prayati nidhanam.
vidyakhyamantardhanam
Vidyākyamantarthanam.
yesham tan pratimanamujjhata nrupaha
Yeshantam pratimanamujjhatanrupah.
kastai saha spardhate.
Kastai sahasvardhate.
Now with this speech, we open up our possibility for knowledge through the shravana of the speech, through the different kinds of literature, different kinds of books, different kinds of satsanga, we acquire this vidya. Now there are two kinds of vidya, paravidya and aparavidya. Now this para and apara have been very specifically used in the Upanishad. I am not talking from that Upanishadic standpoint in this particular shloka reference. Para will still mean the Upanishadic knowledge. Apara is vyavahara, vyavaharika vidya. Vyavaharika vidya, the know-how. How to use a screwdriver. Basic skill sets. I tell you this example often, right? That in one of the batches of YAP, there was apples or mangoes. I think mangoes. And I gave the task to 5-6 kids. Peel them, I'll come back in a while. I go back, like those first mangoes that are in the hand, almost unanimously, all 5-6 of them, they've ruined the mango. It's all like, squishy, gooey. And all of them, I don't think this works. I don't think the peeler works. So I picked that peeler, whoever made that, I picked their peeler, took another mango, and then peeled the entire thing in one stroke. Not just, in pieces, in one stroke, the entire thing in one string. So I put it in front of them, gave the peeler, and I said, इसको कहते हैं नाचना है आंगन टेढ़ा. The basic skill sets. That is called Vyavaharika Vidya. This Vidya, both ways is beneficial, whether it is para or apara. Therefore, in the Guru Stotra also, what do we say? That Guru who gives us this knowledge bestows upon us both bhukti, mukti, pradatacha. Many of us become very profound suddenly and change that to bhakti, mukti, pradatacha. Oh, it is bhukti and mukti, not bhakti and mukti. Vyavahara and Paramarthika both are guaranteed. That Vidya is praised here. Why Vidya is praised? Because that is the only dhana which is worth accumulating. The only wealth that is worth accumulating. Rest of the wealth, the more you accumulate, the more it is treacherous. That is why, as the funds came in, Gurudev kept the central office of Chinmaya Mission always empty. That he would keep directing it to different projects and keep it all. And he used to often comment, if it starts accumulating, that is when we'll start having problems. Keep it empty. That is why I kept the central office as CCMT. Central Chinmaya Mission Trust. It says CCMT acronym. So why did I keep that? He says, so that it stays to that the coffers should always remain empty, so that which for which it is being, it is spent directly to that particular cause. Once it starts accumulating, that dhana can lead to so many other things. So there is a subhashita for that. Na choraharyam, na rajabhagyam, na bhartṛharikṛta, na cha bharakari. Na choraharyam. This dhana of Vidya, it cannot be stolen. You have wealth, where does it stay? Again, lokarma. It has to go back to the bank. Right? Chora. He says, bhartṛharikṛta na gocharam. Bhartru, somebody who is snatching it. Na choraharyam. Na rajabhagyam. The moment you start making money, the state will look over your shoulder. How much are you making? Which bracket will you fall in? The 30%, the 25%, or the 18%, or the 12%? They're different brackets. Which bracket do you fall in? Depending on how much you earn. The Rajya, that is called tax. The state access it out of you in the form of tax. Rajya bhajya. And whatever is left behind, bhartṛbhajyam, relatives and others, that is why they are called relatives. The more the wealth that you have, relatively your relatives grow up. The lesser that you have, least bothered you are. That is called bhartṛbhajyam. Brothers end up fighting for that. They scheme against each other. Fathers kill their own children, children kill their own fathers. For what? For wealth. Do you know any such stories? Where? Entire Mughal history. Bhartṛbhajyam. Na choraharyam, na rajyabhagyam, na bhartṛbhajyam, and the best part, once it is uploaded, na bharakari. It does not weigh even a little bit. The rest of the wealth You have to keep carrying it in different modes. And they said, having it in the bank, we will give you a card. Now that card has to be carried in a protected RFID blocker. Why? Anybody passing by can snatch. Not the card, the information on the card. What do they call it? Identity theft. Chorab. But once it is uploaded, once it is part of your knowledge, it is not bharakari as long as it is in pustaka. Oh, there is a subhashita for that also. Pustakasta vidya parahastagatam dhanam karyakale samutpanne nasa vidya natad dhanam. That knowledge which is there in the books and that wealth which is there in somebody else's locker, both of them are useless because they cannot be useful at that moment when it is required. See, that is how we make fundraisers. So therefore, he says, in the last two sentences, he says, Vyaye krite vardhata eva nityam. How is this vidyadhanam? The more you spend, see the other wealth, how is it? The more you spend, the more you lose it all. But whereas this wealth, the more you spend, the more you share, the more you find a scapegoat and start teaching. I have learned Sanskritam, teach to one more. I have learned Vedic chanting, teach to one more. I have learned Vedanta, catch few more. No, catch someone else. The more you teach, the more refined you become in that knowledge. Vyaye krite vardhata eva nityam. It only increases. Strange is this wealth. So that vidya is being proposed and praised in the next shloka. That we will see tomorrow. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.